Hey, everybody. I know it's not 4 p.m. I know we're a little late. I had an interview. Sometimes we got to move these, but this is live panels every day at 4 p.m. most of the time. We have Kickstarter Pause and a special late edition today, and it actually ties in with our program today. Is we're going to be talking about the idea of kickstarting an idea versus a finished story, the pitfalls that come with actually doing it. We have Travis Gibb, who's going to introduce himself as I take care of Jax's needs. Go ahead, Travis. Tell him who you are and tell him what you create.
My hair is a mess today. I apologize. I'll probably put a hat on next time you see me on this camera. I am Travis Gibb. I'm with Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies. I create also tons of different comics. From Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies, it's two guys break down on the side of the road, lots of guns, lots of violence, lots of F words. I also do Voodoo Nations with Luke Stone over at Starcross, which is two missionaries get lost in Brazil and lots of bad things happen to them. We got Cthulhu Invades Oz, which is 40 plus creators all coming together to do one story about what happens when Cthulhu invades Oz, as well as something that Rob and I are very near and dear to our hearts, The Advocator. Those are my projects that I can talk about anyways.
Oh, you don't want to tease the other one yet?
No, or any of the other three. Which one are you talking about?
I was talking about the one that Luke's been talking about. I know
that we did. Yeah, Voodoo Nations. We talked about that.
Yeah, because I thought that was pretty much out of the bag now. I know the other.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, Voodoo Nations is next. In fact, we have the first cover and we're working on the second cover, but we may switch it up. I normally am quick to share it, but this is the first time I have an artist who's just as excited about the project, and he's like, it's not good enough. Even though we just paid for the colorist, he's just like, I want something else. So he's working on something else now, which is cool. That's a cool thing to be. Most creators out there have never been in that situation. I haven't been in that situation. So
now explain that to us just real quick. You guys kind of just fell into that. Is this a partnership? Was one of you the idea bringer? I don't even know that, to be honest. I haven't actually asked that question.
So me and Luke were talking one day, and we're talking about everything. How to say this? So we're just talking about comics in general and what to do and where we're going with everything. And we talked about Starcross, and him and I are both pastors, so we talked about our faith a little bit. And the book that I write, Broke Down, is not a faith-based book at all. It's very vulgar, you will never assume it's written by someone who is of faith. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Yeah.
By the way, did you get issue 3? You should have got it today.
I got it yesterday. I actually grabbed it. I was actually going to show it off and open it live on today's show.
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, you ruined it for yourself. I mean, now I'm not opening it.
Right. It's got a cool gift in there, so you need to open it. Anyways,
I'll open it later.
So we started talking, and I pitched an idea to him about a superhero book, and he liked it, and it was good. And then when I slept on it, I woke up the next morning, and I was like, you know what? I'd like to work with Starcross. I think I'd be a good fit. I'd love to bring a non-lame book to you guys' stuff. And I'm not saying their books are lame. I'm just saying they're very Christian-based. I'd like to bring a non-Christian feel book to it. So I did. I pitched a book called Voodoo Nations. It's a four-issue mini. It's one of those things I've had in my folder for a while. He loved it, thought it was great, and said not only does he like it, but he wants to write it. He wants to be part of it. So we signed on, and the deal was kind of like the Charlie Alder, I think is his name, and Robert Kirkman, where I own it. I'm the creator of the book, but he's got creator credits, for the early on stuff. So I can do whatever I want with it. But if I ever did something major, he would get, if we signed a movie deal or whatever, he would get credit.
Fair.
But I would work with Luke again, so I don't know why that's even relevant. But it's just protection for me as a creator, and I want Orange Cone to own it.
And that matters a lot of times. People don't realize that, like with Cat Dad and Supermom, Chuck and Raheel are co-creators on that comic, but I own the rights to Cat Dad and Supermom and Jax outright. That is not negotiable for me because they're based on my son. No one ever gets that. Like, I can take them any day and go do something else. I can make a comic book called Cat Dad. I just couldn't continue Cat Dad and Supermom without them. I could make it The Adventures of Cat Dad, or I could make it Supermom and Cat Dad to make a difference. But I could never do Cat Dad and Supermom without them. And the characters that we create with them, like Elefart, I lose control of. It's not one of my characters that goes with me because that was co-created. And I can live with that. You know, the narrator's co-created. Sure. The only other person that comes along would be Potato Butt, but that's because he's a real life person. He's actually Jax's godfather. So again, they go with. He's not a fictional creation. He was part of what I actually create. So I get that. It's
basically everyone in the Jax book, right? So all the characters that were in that.
Except for Potato Butt. Potato Butt was new, but he was always going to be part of it, and he had nothing to do with the creative process with the other guys. Technically, Elefart was mine too, but it was also Chuck was with me when we created that. Because if you remember, that was the video where people were like, there is writer's block. And I was like, bullshit, there's no writer's block. Tell me something to create. An elephant. Okay. An elephant that farts. No problem.
Yeah.
Successfully funded, finally, on Kickstarter. So let's get to that. We're talking about successfully funded. We're talking about what it takes to do a Kickstarter that has an idea versus it. So let me start off. Do you think it's even a smart idea in this day and age to kickstart something that's unfinished? And I know you've had some issues. We don't have to talk about it, but I want to know from your experience, how do you feel about
absolutely talk about it. So let's talk about it in two different realms. So let's talk Kickstarter generically. An idea is fine for Kickstarter generically, just not in the realm of comics and not in the realm of stuff. But some of these ideas that they have for like products and stuff like that, like to fully do those, like it needs to be done. Games, some of those board games, like to get all the pieces right, like there's no way that they can afford to do that. But when we talk about comics directly, there is no reason why it shouldn't be finished or mostly finished before you go on Kickstarter. Comics aren't that big of an investment to do that. And that's the case. I personally got screwed over in a situation that it has haunted me for a long time as original graphic novel. And it has still not been finished. And we're going on 2 years now. And that sucks.
I
don't think it's 2 years on the Kickstarter side. I think
no, it's about 2 years now. Because remember, it competed with the Advocator.
Yeah.
So you were starting this before the Advocator, because we already had our 1 year anniversary with the Advocator, but you started this before that, this whole project started in August of the year prior to that. So this will be its second anniversary.
Yeah. That's sad, and we're on issue 4, so we've made progress. The problem is, again, you promised 4 doesn't mean anything. If we did individual issues, everyone would have been taken care of, but we didn't. So we're on issue 4, and various things have happened that's caused it. There's a lot of bad stuff that's happened in between it, but even though my situation is a little sinister, I think even good-intentioned people could be in my situation. Because a trade is a big thing, and that money that you have early on, you used a little bit at a store one day, and then you used a little bit another day, then you used a little bit another day, you used a little bit, and then the coronavirus hit, and then you used all of it because it was a big crisis, and then it's gone. We hear it all the time on Kickstarter. So yeah, it's dangerous.
So, all right, there's a creator that comes to you and says, I have this idea for a book. We already have a script, and I have an artist. Can I kickstart? What's your advice to them?
How many pages are done? That's the first thing I'm going to ask. How many pages?
None. They're starting. They're working on concepts.
No, I wouldn't have them even come with me until they have at least half the book done.
Okay, so half a book. So let's say 10 pages. Does it have to be colored, lettered, or just?
Yeah, colored, lettered, the whole shebang. You really need to show that it's going to be finished.
Go ahead.
Because the reason why, if it's not going to be finished, then what's the point? Right? What's the point of doing any of it? So that's what we're trying to do and trying to take care of, is making sure that these books are finished and that they've done everything that they need to do to get to that next level. Most of the people don't realize what that takes, so they do a couple of pages, throw it up, and you can't. Like, to fund on Kickstarter, it's not just about a book. Very few sending just the book out, one cover, just the book, will ever be funded, ever. You need variant coverage. You need some sort of marketing material, postcards, prints. So that there's all these other things that you need to get a Kickstarter to fund. It's not going to a comic store. It's not buying the book. Most people don't just buy the book. They want some of the extra stuff too. They want to invest in your project. And if you don't have the money to build all that stuff, you're not going to make it on Kickstarter. Just period.
No, and that's absolutely true. And look, in the end of the day, I think the biggest problem with a lot of Kickstarter campaigns that we've seen have problems with has been the fact that they didn't have a clear path to finishing with just their distribution, with just getting it to people. When you add in the element of, and this has happened, we're going to talk about this now, and I don't know how many people you've known, I'm sure you know a few, where a Kickstarter suddenly hits and then people suddenly want to renegotiate their contracts.
That happens all the time. It's a big problem in our industry because people don't, especially, let's say a lot of people use foreign artists. When they see American numbers in the thousands, that's huge for them. That's like, for them, it's like a million. Like it really is, like the translation to them. They can't fathom the stuff. But we still have to ship, print, and all that stuff here. They don't know how many international backers you got at 30 plus a pop to send out. You know, there's all these other variables that come in that they don't know. They don't know how many drop backers you have. You know, on that Kickstarter doesn't reduce your amount to failed backers. I wish they did, to be honest. I wish that was the case, because I know Rob and I know for a fact that there's a few people who lie about their numbers. That would really show that number. You know, no, that's not what you've really got. So it's important, and that's why so many people do the double hustle these days, where they go right on Indiegogo after to just make a few more bucks. Those few more bucks, a lot of times, a renegotiation of the artist to pay for additional stuff, or they got so excited during the Kickstarter they just kept creating new pledge levels that they weren't paying attention to the numbers and messed themselves up.
Or international shipping, the big ghost of crowdfunding.
Yeah, which is getting worse and worse. Corona is worse and worse. There's certain countries that won't let you even ship to them right now.
Well, I took on my crowdfunding. We will not have any international shipping. I'm taking the hit. They can get a PDF for now. They can reach out to me personally, and I could try to set something up for when the borders open. But I'm not dealing with it right now. I know what's going to happen. You know, it's going to sit somewhere for months.
Right.
Possibly misplaced. It's just not worth the risk right now. But okay, so someone's got a Kickstarter done. What's their next step? So now we're talking about the idea of a theory versus a finished product. But even just a finished product is still, in theory, just a theory. If you don't have your distribution channel ready, your printer, and printers can fail. We've had this problem, me and Travis. There was this thing called Kraken. It screwed me once. They supposedly came back and fixed all their problems, came back and made a worse mess. And we were left high and dry with the first issue of The Advocator. And this was during a difficult point for Travis, too. He had
but we were the lucky ones. We were the lucky ones. Our quote was high and dry. We didn't spend any money. There is tons of people who are way worse than us who actually spent money. The reports that we got in when Rob and I did the numbers early on, it was at least $30,000 worth of dollars that they had that they didn't print a thing. And then here's the worst part. Some of the books even got printed and then sat in a warehouse, and they had to pay again to pull them out of that warehouse.
And then that guy just shows up on, and I'm not going to go too into it, but you know, the guy who was behind it, Jacob Wade, just suddenly started showing up again on social media, and I'll leave it at that. It amazes
me. I've got to see this. I haven't seen him yet, but I've got to see this.
Yeah, look at it. Just Google it now because people are talking about it. It's kind of disgusting. I'll see if I can find it while we're talking, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's rough when you see these bad operators coming out. We've talked a lot about bad operators, and that's what we're trying to do now with Indie Vault. I've actually stepped up, and because comic book advocates won't talk about negativity, we try kind of make it a site rule. Marcel Dupree has been one of the few people that we've talked negatively about because that's how many people he's affected. It's just so vast that it had to be discussed. And beyond him, we're going to do it through Indie Vault. Indie Vault has given me the ability to talk about the things that are going on. But it's sad because you have to understand, and like Travis said, some of this is just people making mistakes. It's just rookieism. It's all these people who run out and go, I know what I'm doing because I took a course and I know everything now and I know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden reality bites them in the ass. And you didn't know. You didn't know that this shirt thing that you priced out changed in 2 months because Trump put in an embargo somewhere. Because you didn't print the shirts right away. You only got a quote. And quotes aren't gospel. So you want to talk a little bit about that? I know that you have a lot of experience with helping creators with this type of information.
Yeah, it's absolutely creating that stuff and creating it tight. I always recommend get away with shirts. Shirts are what kill people. They always hurt them. The numbers are always tough. They're always unreliable to get them. The quality is always sketchy. So making sure that that's not part of the process. But the other thing that really hurts creators is they have this process and they have these people who are going to do these things for them. Those things don't always come to fruition. And as you're waiting for that one thing, you just stay still. And again, as you stay still, that money goes down a little by little by little because most creators aren't well off and they haven't been trained to take care of money. So it hurts. It does some stuff. Myself, I've used some of the money for Kickstarter for other stuff. Not to be shady, because I thought I was going to have. So this is my third Kickstarter. I'll say what I did. So this is my third Kickstarter. I knew that if I do this store signing, it's good for about $100. So I can use that wiggle room of like $300 to go ahead and buy other things I need or pay for issue 4 or whatever the case would be. Well, those stores are canceled right now, so I can't do those signings. So now I have to eat that $300. Luckily, I'm in a financial situation where I can eat that $300, but most comic creators can't.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And one of the things that's weird about this whole process is that there are so many tools out there for people to understand what's going to come next, and yet they still make the same damn mistakes. And I've seen creators go on shows warning about it. I mean, we had someone famously in our industry or community who freaked out because of drop pledges.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not doing it. I'm not giving away the extra stretch goals anymore because some people were negative. And I don't honestly think he's ever fully recovered from that, which is a shame. And I know people who, if you bring up his name, they're like, I will never back him again because
I'm one of them. I'm never going to back him again. And it sucks because he makes decent quality books. But if you view this as a cash, people are not cash registers. People are investing in you, in your product, and you made a promise to them. And I'm sorry that promise didn't work out the way you want it to be. Tough luck, pal. Like, you made a promise to somebody. It's like you agreed to mow someone's lawn, right? And then you came back and you found out that the lawn was way worse than you predicted. Well, you've got to mow that lawn regardless. Period. That's got to happen. Like, you've already made the deal. You've already taken the money. You've got to mow the lawn. So that's kind of how I see it.
And that makes sense. I don't know. I think that a lot of times it's ego, to be honest with you. People are so interested in just making money that they don't stop and think about what they're producing. And I say this all the time, and I said this on my show yesterday. You have all these people who want to go out and brag about how much money they made on Kickstarter. But when you know the sauce behind Kickstarter and you know what people are spending on their little trinkets, their little add-ons, when you're in the industry, you're like, well, you're not really talking profit. What are you doing with what you've created? Because there's two types of creators. Those who are trying to flex on Kickstarter but don't do anything in the real world, don't have a website, have no way for you to get their books, do a couple store signings and call it a huge success. You've been in business with one of those guys, and you're kind of dealing with the effects of it with Marcel Dupree, sadly. And then there are the people who I've seen make little money on Kickstarter. Look at Dan Sin. Dan Sin has 70 comics that he has created. He hasn't Kickstarted a single one. He's out there at Comic-Con selling books, making a fan base, and there's all in between that spectrum. So it's not what you do on Kickstarter, it's what you do after you've Kickstarted. And I stress that to people all the time. And me and you help people behind the scenes, and some people just don't want to hear it because they want to just follow and do what they think is right. And there's nothing wrong with that, but don't cry to me when you fail. And I say it to them all the time. You don't have to take my advice. Just don't come back to me and ask me what happened when you don't follow my advice.
Yeah. We had a gentleman that last week that we talked about who had been messaging me for a year. He had asked so many advice, and I gave him tons of advice. He seemed to be listening to it. But come a year from now, he gave me the exact same Kickstarter that he failed 2 years prior. 0 changes, 0 anything, 0 new books, 0 new quality, 0 new anything. He had a spoofier video, which is not something I talk about at all. Because though videos matter, they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, because most of them don't get massive views. I know Rob's is an exception, but the majority of them don't get massive views. So spending a lot of money on that is just a bad investment, in my opinion. But this guy comes to us and comes the whole thing, and I finally had to ask him. I was like, "What's different? Why do you think you'll succeed this time?" Because his goal increased by 1,500, so his goal was more too. Like, so how are you going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's unrealistic. Listen, and I say this all the time. I go to Kickstarter to make money, and it's just that simple. You know, I don't go there for my ego. I don't go there for any other reason. I go to make money, and I'm hoping that someone will help me support what I'm doing. I don't do trinkets. I did that early in my career. Like Travis said, shirts are horrible. Yeah. I create shirt for shows because I can sell certain shirts. But Travis knows this. I'm sitting on tons of Jack shirts from earlier in my career. I still have my original, and this year was going to be the clearance year. Me and you talked about it. I was going to take some of this stuff and sell it at cost, if not cheaper than my cost, just so I don't have it at home anymore, because now it's just collecting dust. And you know what's going to happen, Travis? I'm going to sell all this, and then all of a sudden I'm going to become real famous, and I'll be like, damn, why did I sell that? But I'll just print more, you know?
Well, and you've gotta, if you're gonna do shirts, make it at such a high tier that you can't lose money on. Like make it a $60 or $70 tier. So yeah, you may have to eat 10 on the shirt, but whatever, you know, you made a lot on the comic, so you're okay. But people don't want to hear that. They're like, no, I want my numbers to increase. Yeah, but your profit margins is getting lower and lower. Comics have a decent profit margin. They really do. A 50% profit margin, better in some cases, is really good in our market, but not if you mess with it. Not if you add extra things that push that down.
So now let me ask you, since we're waiting on a few other people, and me and you kind of agree, and we're not really disagreeing, which is an oddity, about not going to Kickstarter without having it done, because I think it's ridiculous. You can go as long as the story's made and certain things have been done. Like I'm racing to hopefully, and I'll announce it now, if I can get everything in order, I hope I can get to Kickstarter with the next issue of Cat Dad by Father's Day. But to do that, I have to have half the book created and the other half already in progress, already being done. And the half that I want done are pencils. So I want it all pencils. Well, it's digital now, so the way he does it won't be ever pencils. But it'll be, you know, the art will all be done. The script will have been edited. And then we'll have to color and letter. And Rahil's doing all the work on it, so he's really quick. It's possible, but if one thing goes wrong now, we won't go. And I just think that's the way you have to be. So let's get a little deeper into Kickstarter. We got some comments coming in. Let me see what those are. Sarah says, "Hi, I know I want to buy I know what shirt I want to buy from Rob." And hey, Phil, I hope you're feeling better. Phil's a little under the weather today. We're feeling bad for him. So let me ask you a question. Let me pick your brain as the Kickstarter guy. What do you think of Ryan Cummings is joining us? So let's
yay.
Hola.
What's going on, Ryan?
What's up, fellas? Nothing. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Tell them who you are.
My name is Ryan Cummins. I'm the writer-creator of the action-adventure series Rumble Kings, the cyberpunk revenge thriller Heavy, as well as the pulp-era action-adventure Millennium, and the dark barbarian story Reina. That, I think, is about all I can say for now.
Isn't that a thing with us? We can't talk about the things we're working on yet. And sometimes you don't want to talk about it because you don't know if it's coming or not. I've announced so many times that never came out. I've learned to just keep my mouth shut.
I'm that way right now with Heavy. Like, I get asked about Heavy at least twice a week. And it's like, man, I really can't say anything about it right now.
So what do you think? Me and Travis were talking about this. You think it's okay to go to Kickstarter with an idea and not a comic ready?
When my very first campaign was Rumble Kings 1, and I thought at the time, yeah, that was the way to go. But with everything that happened with Rumble Kings 2, definitely not. Like, I won't go unless I have at least 80% of the book done, just because so much stuff happened. You know what I mean? So with just the idea, unless you have a giant fan base, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, and there's so much that can go wrong even with the done book.
Yeah, why don't you explain some of the stuff that went wrong with Rumble Kings, whatever you feel like sharing, because I think that people can learn from that. That's what this is for.
Yeah, well, Rumble Kings 1 was a big success in my book. I only put out a little bit of my pocket money. Most of the funds that we raised for 1 were used to produce that book. So we were excited going into 2. The problem with 2 was that we went in basically with the idea. I think we had 3 pages done when we launched 2, and we funded about $800 less than we did for issue 1. And then we just had art issues. William Reyes, an amazing artist, good friend. I still talk to him quite a bit. He just, I believe he put too much on his plate. He was a popular guy. A lot of guys were taking interest in him, and he just, taking a lot of jobs, couldn't get it done. So at that time, a lot of outside influence convinced me, hey, let's replace him. Let's go with another artist. So we did that. We signed up a brand new artist, Danny Pascal. He's a great artist. And then the art started slowing up with him. Personal problems kept getting in the way. Just the book wasn't coming out when it should have come out. And obviously we are over a year removed from when we launched the campaign for issue 2. So finally we have the book completely finished. It was a lot of hassle, a lot of personal issues getting in the way. The business got in the way. I've definitely learned a lot with 2, and I've changed the entire approach to how I will go forward with Kickstarters from now on. I guess the biggest thing I learned with 2 is that as being the writer and the creator, all the responsibility falls on me. If anything goes wrong, it's completely my fault. And I'm not the kind of guy that's going to put business out there. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to point blame to anybody else. So it's my property. I'll take the lumps. But now it's just trying to earn the trust back of all the backers that supported us, and just saying, hey, we got this great series. Let's keep it going. Let's get it out there and hopefully get it to even more people than just those who backed us on 1 and 2.
And that makes total sense, and I get that. And it's hard to be in a position where you have to earn back the trust, right?
Yeah,
you don't find yourself at that position, but it happens. I don't know what happened to Travis. I'm sure he'll be right back. He probably just had a communication thing. But let's expand on that. So you had the successful Kickstarter. One of the things that a lot of people make a mistake, and we'll talk about this now, is they don't actually communicate when something's going wrong. What did you guys do when you knew things weren't going the way they should be? Did you communicate a lot? Did you try to reach out to people personally?
Oh, that's my problem. I sleep maybe 4 hours a day, so I'm always online. I'm always available. And so probably to my detriment, I was hounding them maybe, but I'm always like, hey, let's talk this out. Let's get this through. It's a great product. I believe it's a great story, and I really wanted to get it out there the best that it could. But sometimes personalities don't clash. No matter how great of a creator you are, you and I might not see eye to eye, or just the business end can be messed up. And for Rumble Kings issue 2, it was just a mixture of everything, and so, yeah, I guess just I learned from that and tried to fix it and move forward.
And you can't do anything about that. I mean, things just are going to go wrong. I'm trying to reach out to Travis, see where he is. I think things are always going to go wrong, and you can only own it and do your best to make up for it. Yep. And that's kind of been a theme that we've had in the past with some of the people who have had problems. And I am glad that you brought it up and you said, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what we're dealing with, and we are working towards solutions. That's all you really can do,
Yeah. Yep.
Here's Travis now. So, Travis, you're back. I was just trying to text you, see where you were.
Kind of, yeah. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to get my computer to come back. I lost the internet for a minute, and then it just wouldn't let me back in the stream yet. So I'm resetting my computer.
Okay. So we were just talking about what you do after you have problems. So what do you think, Travis, about how do you make your reputation right after you've had that problem? Because you had to kind of talk about dog days, right? When you're going to Kickstarter again?
Yeah. You've got to be upfront and honest with everything, you know. In fact, Ryan and I, it's funny that Ryan's on the show because Ryan and I had those conversations because he was like, "What do you do? What should I do? You know, what's the best thing?" You know, and the best thing first, if you have anything free, offer it to them. You owe them, so give them whatever you have. If it's a digital copy of something, whatever you have that you can help your, you know, your fan base build trust in with you. That's the first thing you got to do. The second thing is just be honest. I mean, I don't think I handled all of the dog day stuff right. You know, I was pretty angry when I was calling them out. I wouldn't say I handled all of it right, but some of that stuff did need to come to light to make sure that I funded.
Well, where do you stand now? Like, I haven't heard about dog days in a while.
Sorry, he's gone. I think he's dealing with his son. Ryan, what do you think?
No, I'm here. He was
there he is.
The question. I'm sorry. Ryan had asked where you were, so I didn't know. Did you hear Ryan?
I heard some of it.
Okay, Ryan was asking you where dog days is now. That's why I didn't say anything, so I was going to let you answer that.
Oh. It's a thing. It's a book. There is stuff happening.
Good.
How's that? I just can't tell you what it is, but we're working on it.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned,
right?
reader. Right. Phil says appreciated. Wanted to show my support. Phil is in our chat room. Sounds like great works, Ryan. So you're getting some love from Sarah. Great topic, interesting stuff. And Phil says, by just admitting that openly, you have my respect as a fan. And it is true. Look, we're never going to be perfect. I've made my mistakes in crowdfunding and actually even just trying to get the message out. I mean, we're literally talking about me being successful about Cat Dad and Supermom, and people are like, wow, Rob really had some success. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That was the fucking hardest thing ever. That was my third Kickstarter. I felt like I had to tear my heart out and show it to the world to kind of convince them that a guy who writes a fetish book can write a kid's book. It was like a very painful process for me. I don't want to celebrate that. Don't do what I did. Be successful the first time. But I mean, I think people like that. I think people like to see when you get down, when dirty with your hands and say, I'm not perfect. I fucked up. Okay, you got me. Yes, I fucked up. Though the best way to shut someone down is when you're wrong is to tell them you're wrong. They don't know what to do next.
When I had that problem.
The other thing that's a big deal to do too is if you do mess up, don't get off that horse. Like if for some reason there was another dog days thing, I would continue to produce that, because what happens is they'll be like, I'll just fulfill this thing, get it resolved, and then they let it die. I think that's the most dangerous thing you can do. I think you get so much respect on that next Kickstarter for that thing for sticking it out and showing that the story's still important. It wasn't the story. It was all the other variables. I think you'll see your rewards for going through what you did.
Yeah. And the problem with my situation was with Rumble Kings 2, like that hit me at a really bad time. Like I was flying high until all that happened. And then it just depression for like 8 months straight, wanting to give up, wanting to quit. And it was a lot of the indie creators and indie community were coming together and be like, no, man, don't stop. Keep going. Like Travis yourself kept telling me, don't give up on it. Just keep going. And that's exactly what I did. I restructured the series. I restructured the way that it'll be presented going forward, but it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. You know, it's just, you have to, like you said, the number one thing, be completely honest with your backers. And I feel like every time I put out a Kickstarter, like a backer update, I'm saying the same thing over and over again. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you for sticking around with me. You know,
but that Ryan, that really matters. You don't understand it. Like I'm sympathetic to someone who says sorry, and I want to burn the person at a stake who doesn't update. And it's just that simple, because you're showing me your humanity. You're telling me you screwed up. I'm willing to give you that room to make it right for me. But when you're going to be the type of person, and I'm not going to say any names, I'm not going to call anyone out, I'm not going to say who's a problem in the industry. I know everyone's always nervous that I'm going to go saying a name. I won't say anyone's name at all. I will just let the history of a person speak for themselves, and I'll just do that. But I do like people like you who can say, I screwed up, I'm making it right. Because I'll cheer you on from the sidelines and I will help you any way I can. As opposed to the person who's like a year late and goes, well, I had problems, okay? It's not my fault. Everyone else fucked up. I was doing everything right. I'm just the publisher. Why are you looking at me like it's my problem?
Well, and even if that's the situation I'm in,
by the way,
I'm
I
not
can't
going to
hear
do
Ryan.
that.
You can't hear Ryan. Back out and come back in. Don't know why it works, but it does. It fixes the problem.
All right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to hear me anyway.
Well, no, I figured he couldn't hear you when he was waiting for me before, and I'm like, what do you mean, Ryan? He's talking to you.
Right?
Yeah, but no, I mean, like we do. I saw an entire interview of, again, we're not going to call anyone out there, but there was an entire interview with this one creator who did all they could to blame everyone else and not take any responsibility for what they had done for anything. And we won't say a name, but we'll just put it out there for everyone to know. But I mean, it is hard when one person is making. Here's the problem: people like Marcel Dupree, and I'll just stop playing around and come to it. He's hurting a lot of careers because I know people who have been talked badly about. He's made lies up. Ryan, say something so we can see if Travis can hear you.
Hola, Travis.
Hey, I can hear it. He said, "Hola."
There you go.
Apparently, Ryan
Hola.
speaks Spanish. That's fantastic.
The only Spanish I know.
You should have said anything. And we're going to be like, what? He just said hello in English. What are you talking about, Travis?
Yeah, right.
What are you hearing, Travis? What do you have, your computer on Spanish?
But I think though Marcel is probably the biggest problem with the biggest culprit of this, lots of people have this problem. So a lot of people are really late in fulfillment. I just found out that a book that I backed a year ago, I was wondering, I was like, I never got that book. And I found out, oh yeah, it hasn't fulfilled. He hasn't done anything. He's been struggling. Sometimes you just don't know because those people are smart about it and they don't have 20 projects at a time. So,
Well, and especially as busy as we are, like all three of us are extremely busy and we back a lot of projects. Like some of them just get lost. Like I was going through my list a few months ago and I'm like, I remember this book. Where is this book? Like, why don't I have this?
I don't go through my list anymore. It's depressing because then I start seeing it and then I have to add it to the list we'd have for an eVault. And eVault is currently tracking 10 projects.
Wow.
Well, then I get mad. The other thing I do is I get mad sometimes is I was like, I didn't get the physical. And I'll be like, hey, I didn't get my physical. Like, as I see they fulfilled, they're like, you didn't back the physical. And I was like, oh, what's your PayPal? I'm so sorry.
I've done that.
Now, if we counted Marcel's book, it's like 30 books not fulfilled, just with one person. Do you think that that's a Kickstarter problem? Do you think that's a community problem? What do you guys think when something gets that bad, where he's still going and chugging along, and we still haven't has anyone even gotten a Marcel Dupree book at this point in here? I have gotten a few, honestly. I have actually gotten a few. I will be honest. I am still missing some books. And he has blocked me and is now off Facebook and does not respond to questions. But I can say he does send out sparse books. But how about the rest of you guys?
I've got all my books from him. And I know that some of the newer books are coming out, like Valkyrie and La Fay. I know that came out.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've gotten every single book I've backed from him, with the exception of Dog Days. That may be the only one.
I didn't get Dog Days.
So
yeah, I don't have Dog Days. I don't have that. That's one of the ones I don't have. I am missing my Delia Blast. I was supposed to get it. I told him I never did get it, and he said he'd take care of it and never did. But I don't know.
Well, and I'll say this real quick is I'm not one to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and bash Marcel. Marcel, business wise, when I pitched Heavy to him, it was because I'd come on to do a different project. He had reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to take over this book? We'd started, process of that. But then he's like, go ahead and I like that. Go ahead and pitch something to me. I pitched him Heavy. Business wise, he was a pleasure for me to work with. Like the reason that I stepped away and that I took Heavy with me had nothing to do with his business practices. Because like I said, he was a pleasure to work with as a creator, and I'd gotten all of my books like that I had backed so far. But that's just my case. Like I can't speak to what anybody else has done. I've seen the interview, I've seen other people's testimonies, but as far as me, I was fine. you know.
And that's what we're seeing, a sparseness, where some people swear it never came out, PDFs are getting delivered, but it's causing a rift with crowdfunding where certain people are turned off to this date. I get messages about him, and we can't beat a dead horse. There's a point where it's no longer a story, and you really just we can't spend every week talking about one creator and what they're doing. We put it out there. It's everyone's choice now. We're all adults. And I've even told creators, look, if you want to work with him, I get it. He's offering you a quick way for you to get funded.
Yeah.
Just be concerned. I know people whose books still haven't been made yet, who are still books. Yeah. And there are books that he just canceled out of nowhere and people never got refunds. And that's the point of today. If the books were all done before he kickstarted it, this would never be an issue for it, would it? If Dog Days was done, we wouldn't be here today talking about Dog Days.
Right.
You know,
but again, that's the caveat, right? Like, who are we to say what someone's dream is worth, right? Yeah. Like, that's really up to the backers. So if someone wants to do 10 pages of a book, the only problem I have is when you present it as it's done.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yep.
And a lot of people do that. They'll present it, oh, no problems, this is fine. We've got 20 under our belt. That's a different story. You know, and same thing with Dahlia's Blast. Though you could be upset, Rob, that you didn't get it, you do know that book got printed and other people got it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like I said,
so that's a scorn on you. It's not necessarily a scorn on the book because other people did. There's books that have never seen the light of day. Those are the ones that need to be addressed. That's
true too. That's absolutely true. But I mean, ultimately, I do think that if he had just slowed down, and we had all told him this, slow down, get the books done before you push them out. You should tell your teams realistically, we're gonna have to take the hit, we're gonna have to get it done. I'll kickstart it, pay you after. It was a bad business practice, and we're trying to warn everyone watching, don't make those mistakes. Get as much as your book done. Travis is right. If you really believe in it, that's fine. Tell people this is a risk. There's a section, risks and accountability, right? It's on Kickstarter, I believe they call it. When you fill
whatever the last section is,
Yeah. You just right there. Hey, everyone, just so you know, this is an idea. I really have a plan. I plan to have everything done. This is my passion. But so you know the book's not done. The creator should be able to know that. I mean, the backer should know that before it goes anywhere else. All of my books to date will have been done. And we were talking about this earlier when you weren't here, Ryan. The second issue of a book has to be 50% done for my Cat Dad project for me to launch it on Father's Day. We're pushing for Father's Day just because we want to do it. But there's so many steps that I have to get to Father's Day to make it okay. We might not get there. It is so early. So I'm only talking about it theoretically. I haven't announced it actually on social media yet because, again, we're too far away for me to be able to really get that feeling that we could be okay, and I won't take a risk. I'd love to end on Mother's Day and start on Father's Day. We do have still over a month. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time to get a lot done. And my printer's still open. I'm actually going to be talking to the printer in a couple days and sending the books out to get printed already because I wanted to wait a week because Kickstarter takes 14 days. They want to have it be in a shop for 2 weeks because I need the money from the Kickstarter campaign. So I'm going to send it to him probably Monday, and I should have the money by the Friday, and then I can pick up the books, and we'll start sending them out next weekend. And that's how I roll with Kickstarters. I get the money for Kickstarter. I can start mailing it out the next Monday or the next day when I just got the money. How awesome is that? That's what backers want. They don't want bullshit. They want to be able to get their books because they believed in you. You have to understand, like we're going back to Rumble Kings. He is saying sorry, but he's keeping me part of his journey. My problem is when you're not involving me. You involved me with the good part. I believed in you. I gave you money. Now make me believe in you. Keep my belief something that's there. Travis never ran away from Dog Days. He's never acted like it didn't happen. He talks about it. He updates us, and he gives us like as much factual information. He does. To his credit, I've never seen him bend into the need to rip someone down so badly. I've probably talked more negatively about Marcel than Travis ever has publicly, and I commend him for that because it's not easy to be in a situation where someone is kneecapping you while your career is starting to take off.
Well, here's my question about that, Rob. Okay, we know everything, let's say, that Marcel did or that other artists or creators similarly have done, at what point do you stop and you're like, okay, it's time to stop kneecapping this guy and give him the chance to make it right? You know what I mean?
You give everyone that opportunity. You bring up the story and you hope that they do something about it. For a long time, when this pandemic started, I made a clear message. I would not be talking about Marcel Dupree or anyone else for until this pandemic was over. And then what wound up happening is those same people started to use the pandemic as excuses. Marcel went on an interview and basically blamed everyone but himself. None of it was his fault. His sorries were half-spoken sorries. So that made me have to wake up when he turned around and told the world, well, Rob never gave me a chance to tell my side.
All right. So though I am I think the biggest victim here for Marcel, let's talk about Kickstarter. But it's not that I know he's a great example for what we're talking about, but I think one of the other big things that's a problem, Rob, that what you're going to do coming up is a danger for other creators that I'd like to talk about.
Sure, go.
Someone who produces a book too fast for issue 2. So a Marvel or DC comes out monthly. If you come out monthly on Kickstarter, you tend to see your numbers drop, or if you go too fast. Ryan, do you think your issue 2, you think you put it out on Kickstarter faster than it was ready? So therefore you got a little bit less? Because I saw an increase in issue 2 and increase in number 3, but I waited a real long time, probably 6 months in between, where I see people who, if you do it under 3 months, they actually see a decline in the next issue. Because I think people want to feel that their money was invested in the making of the project, which is weird. It's the exact opposite of what we're saying. Hey, make sure you're done. But Kickstarter people, they really want to feel that their money really helped make it. What do you think, Rob and Ryan?
I'll let Ryan go first, then I'll answer.
I agree to an extent. I think my biggest problem with Rumble Kings 2 not performing as well is because, Rumble Kings 1 was my first foray into Kickstarter. I'd only known about Kickstarter maybe a year and a half, maybe. So here I am thinking, oh man, look at, how much I raised and all these supporters I got. These people are coming back for issue 2. And that is not the case.
Right.
So I basically just sat back like, oh, those people are all going to show up. We're going to shoot like $5,000 this time. And that did not happen at all. I didn't do any promo or anything. So that kind of killed me.
And that's a good lesson to teach people, because tons of creators get that. Rob has people whining to him all the time about their issue 2 failings and not understanding how that could happen.
Yeah. I'm worried about issue 3 real quick, because what we presented in the Kickstarter page for issue 2, if you go to it right now, is not what backers are going to get when the book comes out. The artist is different, the feel, the look of it is different. So now my worry is that when I launch 3, that people are going to see that and be like, well, it just keeps changing and changing, and we don't want to support that anymore.
Right.
Well, I kind of learned a trick with Barbara Unleashed. When I rebranded Barbara Unleashed, I didn't ask for a lot of money. I just was doing it to get new names on the books, and we just churned through it through the year. But one of the things I noticed, because I was kind of excited about it, I reached out to a lot of the people who backed me, and I kind of asked them what they thought about the book. And I had conversations with them. And then they'd ask me when the next issue was, and I'd tell them. Because they were all already done, and it was easier to put them out because we were just making smaller changes, I actually had a lot of them follow me from the other ones, that when I did this garage sale at the beginning of the year, the ones who really wanted the collector's edition just showed up and threw money at it, and I didn't even promote it because it was never meant. It was meant to be just a couple dollars to help print a new cover to keep things going, because 2020 was going to be such a big year at cons. I had already planned out 12 shows to be before June. That's how many shows I've missed now. 12 shows. So it didn't turn out to be what it was, but it was definitely me going, hey, get some of my collector stuff. People showed up. So I do agree with Travis. The difference is the way I framed Cat Dad and Supermom. I framed it that the book is done. I framed it that here is your thing. I framed it to the point where we'll get the books out to you as soon as possible, and even giving out the PDFs the day after. Everyone's gotten a PDF or has access to a PDF right now. And I'll be following up with them if we have the plan in place. If we have the plan in place and it works, I will follow up with every person to make sure they got their package. I will do that. And I think that goes to what Travis was saying, involving them. Because then at that point, I'm making sure. It's only 120 people I have to reach out to. Hey, did you get the content? What did you think about it? It's not a lot of people to talk to. I've talked to 120 people within 3 days on just Messenger. So this is not, and again, when I start sending out the rewards, most of them are going to be digital anyway, where I'm going to double check and send them tracking numbers. And that's something I can't tell you enough that's so important. If possible, send out tracking numbers. And it's really simple to give someone a tracking number, and it means a lot. And I did that on my last campaign, and I can't tell you that the people were like, oh, thank you so much. That makes me feel like, you know, more secure that I'm going to be able to get it. And they've tracked when it was coming, and they watch it like Santa Claus on Christmas night. So I think it's engagement. I think we do a really horrible job engaging with our consumer after the first time we've gotten them to fund us. And we just expect them to show up for issue number 2. I'll tell you the truth. People are like, oh, I forgot I got your book. I never read it. You know what? I'll read it now that you reminded me. And they went and read it, and then they got back to me, and they were like, I really like this, and they wanted to talk about it because I reached out to my fan base. I made them part of a conversation. I didn't just treat them as backers. I don't thank everyone who backs my project anymore for the simple reason is I want to reach out to them when they're reading it. I want to send out the updates. I don't try to overdo our relationship at first. I want to prove I can perform, and I want to get them the books, and then I want to talk to them, because there's nothing worse than, in my opinion, someone saying, oh, thank you for backing my book. Do you want to increase your pledge level? It's a turnoff for me. I don't want to hear thank you. I wanted you to get me the book, and I look at it that way, and I'm open to conversations. I have conversations. But again, it's the dialogue, and I think that's what and that's what I promote to everyone. Talk to your base. Every night I go live with a You're Not Alone, and I'm always talking to one person. It's the one person that needs to hear from me that night. Don't care. I don't even look at my views anymore. Don't care. I do all of this for the people who need to hear these things in the moments they need to hear them. That's why I'm building this library. So when someone asks me, well, what do you think about this topic? I can now go back, pull out the panel we did, hand them that, and go, here you go. This will help.
Right. And I really like the idea that you have of dropping the PDF the day after the campaign ends. Like when, geez, I'm pretty sure that's how we're going to move forward from now on. Like I'll show you right now. I got issue 2 right here.
What?
In my hands. So it's going to start mailing out here very, very quickly. But from now on, I want to make sure the book is done so that as soon as that campaign ends, boom, you get your PDF. So then you're only waiting for your physical rewards after that.
And Phil says it's when I get no news that my trust is rocked in the project. Exactly. Like the first update after I funded was a thank you, pay close attention, PDFs are coming. The next day, PDFs were in backer levels. And I used Kickstarter as a distribution system because I didn't want to rush out a survey, not knowing what things could come up between now and getting funded and all that. Because when you send out a survey, it's almost like you start the clock. And people are like, when's my book? When's my book? It's like a false start in football. I didn't want to false start it. So I did what I could. They give you the option. I told everyone, went on a live video, sent out an update. And I had a couple of people reach out and go, hey, did you ever send it out? And I'm like, yeah, it's on Kickstarter. And they were like, can you give me the PDF? I didn't send them to the Kickstarter page. Don't be a dick. If someone asks you for a PDF, get them a damn PDF. Yeah. You can have it lined up in your notes, in somewhere in an email. It took me literally, I have it on Kickstarter. All I had to do is type in my Kickstarter, go copy and paste. It was that simple. Stop acting like you're not customer service. You are goddamn customer service. Yeah. I don't care what Heather Antos says. Her and Vigilant can do anything they want all day long. I know I said it wrong, but whatever. They can do whatever they want with their business. Your business, you are customer service. You are the only person generally. The person behind it, because we're talking about, we ran the Kickstarters. We're not the artist who was like, yeah, I was on a Kickstarter with Ryan. Yep. Like Travis said at the beginning of the show, he was like, I have an actual artist who cares and is excited about the Kickstarter. And you saw he was grinning like a kid at Christmas. He's like, someone cares, someone cares.
That's awesome.
We're so used to having artists just be like, cool, you're on Kickstarter. Good luck.
And it makes such a big difference. Someone actually offered to buy a exclusive cover for their store. And I think it was really that. It's that, hey, multiple people are talking about this. The artist and the writer are really excited about it. Can we get them together? Can we get it? I really think that's the difference why Brokedown, even though it's a more trusted brand, has never got a store cover. Actually, it's got one. I take that back. But it was late in the game. why someone is willing to try it right off the bat and go, hey, this is going to matter.
And Sarah says it matters out of respect to own up to mistakes and faults. That's cool and absolutely. And then Sarah S. also goes on to say, LOL for putting that on screen, Rob. It's a shame that people won't own up to anything, block people, and simply pretend it never happened. Mad respect for those who own up to it. And yet, I can't tell you, in America especially, for us in America, there's nothing that Americans like more than an actual underdog story. There's nothing in life that people like more than people screwing up and coming back and doing something with it.
Well, and I want Marcel to be good at this stuff. I want Marcel to be able to get his book out. I know I said not talk about Marcel, but really, like him getting Dog Days out or any of these other projects that and stuff, or making good with Robert Jeffries for Mind to Avenge, those are really, really good. I was so proud of Short Fuse for getting Like Father, Like Daughter out. Yes, I know there's a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes that happened, but the book itself, the average fan, they got their book, they got their product, they got what they backed. That's what's important. Anybody who wants to mess around in message boards and Facebook Lives and all that stuff, cool, go ahead and do that, get your information, talk your crap. But really what matters is the fans, because every fan that gets screwed over by somebody else's campaign is a fan that Rob may lose, Ryan may lose, or myself may lose. Because you messed up, I lost the fan.
And in every video that I've ever talked about Marcel, and I'll say it again, we're hoping he does the right thing. We are hoping he's learning from what we're saying, because we're not calling him an asshole. We're not cursing him out. We're not making pictures with objects that shouldn't be on his forehead. We're trying to hold him accountable because we're hoping he does the right thing. We are trying to inspire him by a little bit of peer pressure to do the right thing, to show the fans that we care about what they're saying. We hear them. We want them to be part of the conversation. Travis Gibb is joining us twice now, apparently.
Yeah, I got the computer working.
Oh, I was like, someone's coming in. There he is. Oh. There he is. He's back. He's back. We got round sound now.
Finally, you can see my face. No crazy glares.
But yeah, I will always cheer on, even an underdog. Even with another situation, I won't mention the creator's name, but he had done some very, very questionable actions. And I always end it by saying, I hope he gets therapy. I hope he finds the way back. I hope he does what's necessary to get healthy, because clearly he's not healthy right now. Because we don't want anyone. I mean, there's so few people out there that I think any of us truly hate enough to wish harm to. We just wish they'd stop harming where we're going. You're making the water poisonous for certain people. I can't tell you how many people came forward on well, the minute we talked about Marcel, it wasn't just Marcel. I got emails about other projects to the point where me and Indie Vault were like, do we have to start addressing this? They started getting the same thing, and we're like, okay, so how do we do this? And we're taking a no-nonsense approach. These are the facts. We reached out. This is what they said. Marcel gets venom for me because he lies. He lies on camera and says that I didn't give him opportunity. I have tried to give him opportunities. But despite all that, I seriously hope he gets his act together. And I'll give him the credit. He's brought some great talents together. He found Travis. He found Ryan. He knows how to spot talent. If he could put the ego away, he might just make something that is amazing and something that could truly be revolutionary for this industry that we're in for comic book creating. And I'm always, look, I cheer anything that works. Right now, I own these books that are controversial. I know everyone's like, oh my God, you can't buy it. Red Rooster has a Kickstarter that never got funded, or a crowdfunding thing. Don't buy them from Walmart. And I say all the time, I bought these because they're in Walmart. This is a stepping stone for creators. You have to sometimes put ego aside, and it has to be about the industry above everyone else. It's that simple. I'm here to root for the industry and help their industry. Sometimes that means working with people you don't like. You grin, you through it, and you get to the other side. But when you're going to
I want to talk about one person who's been on, who I don't think you'd mind if I mentioned. Have you ever heard of Shadow Flame, the book Shadow Flame? So that guy did a hardcover Kickstarter and get way over him. It's been a year, almost 3 years now, and he sends out once a month 10 books. Every month he posts on his thing, sent out another 10. He's got like 210 backers. You got to send out stuff. You know, I have a lot of respect for that guy. And when he's done, all those backers, I guarantee you, a lot of them are going to come back and back his stuff, because every month he sent out another 10. And he's offered people, hey, if you really want this book faster, I can't afford to do more than what I'm doing. If you want to give me some shipping, you know, we'll go ahead and take care of it. You know, I'll do it right now. I think that's really awesome. And I think it really matters later game if you can take care of your problem now.
Well, a big thing that I've learned too is, and I get this a lot lately, is indie creators will come to me for advice about Kickstarter. And I'm like, I'm still a few years new to this, but the thing that I'm learning is you can be an amazing creator and just be a horrible business person.
Right.
Like, and as an indie creator, like a writer creator like we are, you have to walk both lines, because you're basically in charge of the project and in charge of fulfillment. And it's super stressful at times.
Right.
Like, I get a lot of guys, I'm working with an artist right now, actually, amazing artist. And he's scared to launch his own Kickstarter because he has no idea what to do. He has no idea how to do the business, how Kickstarter works. And it's basically like, I keep telling him, hey, you've reached out to people who've done it, who are way more successful than you are. You know, you always ask for help, always, because you don't want to get in a situation where you get in over your head. You know,
right.
Like your book may be great, but then if you're not getting it to people, or people who draw really good pages, but they can't put a book together, like the design aspects, you know, it's crazy.
I completely agree with that. I think that a lot of times, like you said, it's just juggling. As creators and independently doing this, we're going to make mistakes, and the industry changes a lot. From shipping, when Kraken kind of screwed a lot of creators over, they had to hustle and make changes. And it's the ones who are honest that always are going to do better. You can't hide when something's going wrong. It's only going to make things worse. Because if you come back 6 months later and go, I mean, we did see Kevin, what's his name? Laporte? The one
who you're talking about.
You know him, the kid who changed the name of his book, but finally got it out. It was that Snow one. He's from Quebec.
Oh, Freak Show, Snow.
Yes. He didn't.
What was it called originally? Galactica, right?
Galactica.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He got it done, and you know, he gave the stuff. And what I really liked about him too is when he was like, "Man, I did so well. I did a $10,000 Kickstarter. My comic I felt was shit, and I was so scared to put it out, and I kept redoing it." And like anybody who's created a Kickstarter, we were like, "Yes, we feel it."
Yep.
And we're not even at your money level, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's a real thing. I mean, but he owned it. He took care of it. He got it out there, and it was a success story that shows you that sometimes being patient will pay off. Sometimes people are just human, and sometimes things just do go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I want to see what will happen if he does another Kickstarter. One of the things that people don't understand is your Kickstarter, just because you have a name doesn't mean it's going to work. John, how do you say his last name? John. The guy's on Kickstarter right now for Battle Planet. John's Civil Jr. or Sickle.
Oh, yeah, I'm having a hard time with that name too.
I always go Schimmel for some reason.
Schimmel. Let's go Schimmel. Yeah. So he's got a great project right now, but it's not doing well. He's struggling to get it funded. He's struggling trying to figure it out how to get it. And what's okay about that is, you know, when I asked him, I was like, hey, this makes me nervous for my book that I'm having come out. And he's like, don't be, man. He's like, they're all different. He's like, if you assume that you're going to get all your backers, it's the same thing as Ryan thought for issue 2. If I assume that all the broke down backers are going to come over to Voodoo Nations, I am in a world of hurt. It's easy when you're doing something like Barbara Unleashed and Cat Dad and Supermom. They're so drastically you can really do the difference. But when you're doing something similar, you're not going to get the same fan base. But hopefully you're going to get a few. And of that few, you're going to eventually make your 100 and then your 200 and then blah, blah, blah.
Travis, you do know to do 3 Kickstarters to convince people it was okay for me to write a kid's book, right?
Right, I know. I'm still not convinced, to be honest, and I own it and like it.
Hey, see, like, it wasn't so easy. Trust me, switching quickly does not help. But I mean, it's all about your passion. And I've said it, when you're going to do a Kickstarter video, you know, low budget but honest, pure conversation. Because remember, This isn't, and people make this mistake on Kickstarter. You're not selling to an audience. You're asking an audience to help you. And there's a difference there. So when you go and you show this, like, well, I spent $300 on this fucking video. Why do you need me then? You have money to buy a professional video. Tell me why you want me to be part of it. Tell me. And with the Advocator, we switched the videos every week, and every week we saw a jump the day we switched the videos. And that just mattered to people. It mattered that we were so personable. And the Advocator was one of the worst experiences of my life, those 3 Kickstarters, because every one of them were nail biters. Every one of them came down to the last minute. And every one of them were like us getting out there, pounding doors and being like, why aren't you part of this? And we saw it. We started at a higher number and ended at a lower number. But we did have some people returning, and we did have problems where certain people didn't promote it. And that's a problem. Sometimes you can't rely on your team. We always thought that when we showed up to Kickstarter, we'd have 6 teams firing hard. It was me, Chuck, and Travis, honestly, more or less the time on all 3 projects. A couple other shining stars like John Crawford definitely was there. Jamie Primack was great. But other people were on Kickstarter at the same time, and we were like, what? Martha Schwartz was always great about it, but then you would have, like, even us. Some of us had to be on Kickstarter double duty. Cat Dad got killed the first one of the times I tried because the Advocator was the same time, and people are like, why are you on 2 different projects, Rob? You know, don't you think you should do one at a time? So
I didn't do one at a time.
I didn't want to do 2 at a time. That wound up being not my fault.
And I'm trying to screw him, just for the record, for those privately, I'm trying to screw him over to do it again, too, because I'm just that kind of guy.
He's like, you had fun the first 3 times. No, I didn't. It's someone else's turn. Oh, man, but I love the Advocator. There's nothing like going on the road with these books. And ultimately, this is all about the love we have. So when we're doing a panel like this and we're giving you guys advice, you don't have to take it. You do you. But understand, don't make the well dirty, because if you make it dirty, people like me are going to come asking questions. And we're going to expect you to have answers. And we're not going to go away until you do right by the fans, because those fans that you're messing with are also our fans. And we don't want you hurting our fans. So just do right by the fans. And it's even like Ryan said, if someone, I've had people go, oh, this guy hasn't given me the book. I've gone to their Kickstarter, and guess what? They were doing updates. And I said they have updates. And they're like, well, I don't think the updates are good enough. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't. They're communicating. They're telling you. I mean, yes, it's late. So is some of the Marvel and DC books. I'm still waiting for DC to finish the Batman All-Star. That never finished. Kevin Smith's run never finished. Shit.
I'm waiting for Daredevil Target #2. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be waiting a while.
Yeah. But it happens, guys. And the real creators like Ryan, they're going to make sure you get your book. The guy making that book where it's 10 books a month he's sending out, that's real world. That's the guy who screwed up but doesn't care. He's going to get it done. And I guarantee you, he'll never make that fucking mistake again. Because sometimes when you make a mistake, never do I offer T-shirts that aren't printed. And I still don't like doing T-shirts because they're still a pain in the ass. And you got to ship them differently. I only do T-shirts like Travis said. It has to be worth it. It has to be a collector's pack. It has to be insulated. It has to be something. And I'm not even shipping across the ocean anymore. I don't even ship to Canada because Canada can be fucking expensive. Alaska, we found out. It's in America. We looked at the numbers for an Alaska shipment and we were like, well, do they really need books? Maybe
that's a true fact. That's exactly how it went down. Can we figure out a way to not give him books? And we did.
Yeah. We worked with them.
Out of his choice, by the way, not because we screwed him over.
We didn't force him. We were like, listen, this is what we can do. Here's what we can do. And we're not going to say what we did because it's behind the scenes. But he left happy. And he's still happy to this date and still contacts us. And he's a good person. And
he's actually just recently posted that he wants to use the Advocator in his next campaign and ask for advice.
And you told him, right? I thought you covered it.
A whole bunch of people did. Yeah, I didn't need to. Actually, a whole bunch of other people did.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, that's the whole point of the Advocator. Yes, please. I mean, I would even be willing to give him extra issues if he didn't live in Alaska. you know, fucking Alaska. But it's okay to make mistakes, guys. I'm going to tell you that right now. Those of you watching, it's okay to make mistakes. It's not okay not to own them. Learn from that.
And with Rumble Kings 2, that whole fiasco, like, I'm not going to point fingers. I'm the creator, so I'm going to take all responsibility for it. And hopefully to get all of the supporters back, everybody's getting a fat package when their physical rewards come in. Even the digital rewards are going to be fat. So hopefully it makes up for the long wait time. So, and everybody will come back for 3.
And I'll tell you guys, I don't even think Travis knows this. I don't know if you know this. I know Ryan doesn't. My first Kickstarter for Barbara Unleashed, when it was still titled Fetish Babies, I was going to use Kraken printer. And I know Travis knows this part. Kraken screwed me. They just disappeared, would not return an email. And on my deadline, I missed the window. I was never going to be able to get the books on time. My first Kickstarter was going to be late. I was freaking out. And at the same time, I was trying to get my book on Amazon, and I came up with this idea. And it was a costly idea, but this is how much my fans mean to me. I used Amazon to deliver my first Kickstarter. I don't know to this date anyone else who's used Kickstarter to do fulfillment, but I did. I won't tell you how, because there was a trick I used, and you can't use it anymore. Actually, I guess I could tell you. Back in the day, you could used to put your books on sale, and my ex had a charge card where we earned points. So I would buy the books on sale, get free shipping, and we'd get the gift cards, and we'd use that. It still wound up putting us in the hole because it was not cheap to do it that way. I was paying about $5-6 a book. I lost money on that campaign, but you know what? We weren't late. Everyone got their books, and everyone's got a special book that will never, they got exclusives without knowing they did. They never got the printed issue that became the book that I still have to this day. How cool is that? Wow. And that's how much my fans mean to me, and they always mean that to me. And I like that Travis has gone around delivering them in person. I like to do that if I can. And I think there's just, you got to treat your fans right. Everything I do is for the fans right now as a creator. What I create, I understand it's for the fans. I let them have their opinions as long as they read the book, and you guys are all awesome, and you keep the wheels on the bus. But speaking of the wheels on the bus, it's time for this bus to pull over and dock. We have Kickstarter pause coming up in just under an hour and a half. So I've got to say goodbye. It's been great hanging out with everyone. I want to let Ryan, you're up. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on all social media at Skeletal Press, and you can find everything about me at skeletalpress.com.
All right. Nice, short, and sweet. Travis?
I am with Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies, so go to brokedown4deadbodies.com. If you want an issue 3, they are available now, which is really cool. You have to watch the beginning of the video if you want to hear my whole shebang of all the stuff. I'm actually selling weekly on the Plan C campaign on Tuesday nights. You can find me at 8 o'clock. They're selling a lot of my books and a lot of my specials, and they're all signed, and it's really cool. So I recommend you do that and check that out as well.
All right, guys. I thank everyone for being part of the program. We're going to go off this. As always, I encourage everyone to tune in every day at 4 p.m. for these shows. Jax is trying to get my attention, as you see him climbing on me right now. We're back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. I believe 4 p.m. should be fine. I don't think I have any missed timing on anything, but if we have to change it, we'll let you know. I thank everyone for being part of this, and remember to be kind and share. Do the right thing, and everyone will appreciate it for you. Be honest with your backers, as Jax is running and yelling in my ear. Thank you all for being part of it. Thank you, Travis and Ryan, and we're out. See you all later.